For this Bougainvillea Girl stylized portrait, I will use these colors. Light red for the skin tone, burnt umber and ultramarine blue, my favorite neutral mix. I'll be also using some scarlet lake, quin red, and yellow ochre. Now let's start with the sketch. As always, I'll start with a circle and divide it into half vertically and horizontally. That small line will be my guide for her chin. Then, the line at the center will serve as a guide for the center of her face. So I'll start with her nose. Then draw the eyebrows. The eyebrows will serve as my guide in drawing the eyes. You don't need to rush when making the preliminary sketch of your portrait. Though this is not a realistic one, the result will still heavily depend on your drawing. So, in making portraits, please be patient in drawing or sketching the facial features. I'll sketch the eyes using simple shapes and I'll deal with the details later. Here you can see me correcting the eyes multiple times, and that's fine since I want to, not really perfect, but I want the facial features to look credible, to look like it is indeed a portrait. So I'm taking time to make sure that those eyes are aligned and they are almost the same size, and that features at the center should be at the center. When it comes to the hair, I'd also love to use big and abstract shapes. Don't worry about every single strand of hair, just treat it as one big shape. Usually, I'll use the edge of the circle as my guide for the hair size, but since this isn't a realistic one, you can go overboard and make the hair as big as you want. Again, if you haven't already, the reference photo is available on the link below via our Facebook events. This photo is from unsplash.com. It's a free stock photo, so we shouldn't have any problem with copyright issues. Now drawing in big and abstract shapes for the flowers, the bougainvillea flowers. I wouldn't also worry about the details here since this flower is not a detailed and complicated one. Simple shapes like this would do. Then you can connect them to a branch that extends over to the right. I'm extending it to the right to sort of balance the composition since our girl is at the left side. Now I want to balance that by painting some more flowers at the right side. Correcting again the eye shapes as I see fit. Now it's time to erase those unnecessary lines and make your final adjustments. In this type of painting style, I wouldn't worry if the pencil marks will show as a part of the final painting, since I think that adds to the beauty of the painting. Now I will prepare my colors after this. I'll be mixing in light red and I will paint the shadows first. So starting with clean water, because I want to achieve soft edges, I'll brush these areas with clean water and drop my shadows. Again, please refer back to the reference photo for the big shadow shapes. If that is a hard or challenging task for you, you can also turn the photo into black and white using any photo editor app for you to see how those shadow shapes look. I kind of mixed my light red with Scarlet Lake for a warmer shadow tone. If you're also planning to watch the premiere for the Forget Me Not Girl, you can see me using cool shadow tones on that girl. But for this one, I decided I'd go for the warm tones. Now, while that is still wet, I've prepared my quin red and colored in the flower shapes. Again, not worrying whether it looks like a flower or not. And if you've observed, yes, I'm working using a slanted board. So by this time, I've already decided that I want to train myself how to paint on an angle because my back and my neck hurts so much when I get carried away painting. Now, using thicker paint that has more light red on it to define the shadows even more. The paper is starting to dry now. It is sort of damp, not really wet, just damp. And you can observe that by how the pigments spread. It's not spreading really fast and really far. So this is just the perfect time to define those shadows even more. If you're not used to this technique, then what you can do is wait for the paper to totally and completely dry, then paint over the shadow shapes and soften the edges. I have started this Flower Girl series because I really wanted to paint portraits. But before I sort of contemplated and hesitated, should I be painting portraits without any knowledge on anatomy and the proper facial proportions or how to paint realistic ones? But then I really wanted to. So instead of focusing on realistic portraits, I went for a stylized look. Because I really want to design my own characters. So why wait until I have the perfect skill set when I can start practicing right now and be happy on the result, since I'm not pressuring myself too much on achieving a realistic look. Do you have the same dilemma or challenge as I am? Let me know in the live chat or comments below. Also, I am planning to paint what was that? Lilies and Forget Me Not. If you have other suggestions or requests, kindly let me know in the comment section. Because it's hard to replay the live chat, so let me know in the comment section. Also, if you're watching on replay or if you're painting along with me, let me know in the comment section. I'm really looking forward to your version of this Bougainvillea Girl, so please use the link below too to post your artworks. Here I'm laying down the base color of the hair since she has a light hair color. I'm using yellow ochre as the base and later define some strands with my burnt umber and ultramarine mixture. I'm also not worrying about the background or the flower shape, so you'll see me sort of softening those edges and just painting how I feel rather than painting what I see. I've adjusted that yellow ochre and added a bit of light red for her skin tone. As you can see, I'm just spreading that color everywhere, and that's fine with me. It kind of looks messy, but that's okay. And to achieve a harmonious effect, aside from using a limited palette, I'm also using the same colors for the skin tone, for the hair, as the colors for the background itself. Adding a bit of shadow shape on her cheek. Let me know if you have questions in the comments below. The brush I'm using is from stylized set. At this point of my watercolor journey, I still haven't found the perfect brush shape and size for the style that I want to develop. So for now, whichever is the latest purchased brush, I'll try to get to know that and use it as much as I can. Now I'm mixing ultramarine blue and burnt umber and focusing on the shadows of the hair. Looking at the reference photo, you can observe that there are some parts of the hair where there are dark tones. So I'll just try to mimic that, but not an exact copy. Don't stress over making an exact copy, okay? So, what about you? Do you have a favorite brush right now? Are you a fan of round brushes or detail brushes or even flat brushes? I've wanted to train myself to use flat brushes for portraits. So maybe in the future you'll see me using those instead of these Chinese brushes. If you also have recommendations, please do let me know, because right now I'm really tempted to buy another set of cheap and affordable Chinese brush set. Those one have longer bristles and made up of goat's hair, so I'm not yet sure. I'm still contemplating whether I should buy them or not. Just retouching, going over those shapes as I see fit. Now, with more ultramarine blue on my neutral mixture, I'll paint the branch. I'll use that blue as my underpainting color, and later I'll layer it with burnt umber. If you don't have this color, it's okay. Just find other dark blue colors and other brown colors. Mixing brown and brownish orange and blue should get you a neutral mix since they lie opposite on the color wheel. Now here's my burnt umber. And going over this shape again. This produces a different effect compared to mixing two colors on the palette and painting with that color. Now I'm using a paper towel because I think the branch is too thick and the pigments are spreading farther than I intended them to, because the paper is still wet. So paper towel as an eraser works like magic. I really love using this technique when correcting mistakes in watercolors. If in case you cannot lift the colors anymore since they have dried completely, then use a flat synthetic brush, wet it with clean water, scrub the area that you want to reactivate or lift, and then pat it dry with a paper towel. Going for the details on the flowers, I'm using the same color, Quin Red, only with more paint now than water. I'll continue doing that until I am satisfied. Referring back to the reference photo, but not really stressing myself on getting that perfectly, on getting that the exact copy as perfectly as I can. Just an impression of those flowers will do. Checking if the face area has dried now, and then with the same neutral mixture, ultramarine blue and burnt umber, I'll start defining the facial features, starting with the brows. You can also observe that I have now shifted to a smaller brush. You can still use your big brush and just use light pressure on the brush so that the tip only touches the paper. But sorry for the hair. But since this is a new experience for me working at an angle, I decided to use the safer method and switch to a smaller brush. The only downside of this technique is that I have to constantly reload my brush with the same color. So just outlining the hair, the eyes, and the other facial features. Defining some shadows, softening it. I'll continue doing this again and again until I am satisfied. Oh, I do have a question. Which facial feature do you find the most challenging to paint? Is it the eyes, the nose, the lips, the hair? Let me know in the comments below because I'm planning to do a tutorial for the facial features, for the individual facial features. Okay, with the same brush, this is the only time that I'll focus on the strands. I might have gone overboard in defining these strands, but it's okay. This isn't a realistic photo again. So I'll just enjoy the process, learn as I go, and apply what I've learned on the next portrait, and that's it. Another new thing that I'm trying here is this painting wasn't planned. Planned in a way that I did not create a thumbnail sketch to plot the values, I mean where the dark and lights are. I didn't I did mention the colors that I'll be using earlier, but later you'll see me deciding whether or not the palette is enough. And I also haven't practiced painting this girl. But the goal is to really learn and just let it go. I think that is one of the hardest skills that I have to learn, to let go of perfection, to let go of expectations, and just really focus on painting what I really wanted to paint. I was so stressed on keeping my Instagram feed niched down and following the same theme, but then I thought, why should Instagram dictate, or why should I let what I've learned about Instagram for artists limit what I really wanted to do? Painting has a special place in my heart. For me, painting every day means I'm giving myself time to reflect, to pause, and to do that one thing that I really love. So if you're having the same challenge of finding your own style, niching down, because that's what they tell us to do, so to have a clean Instagram feed or a cohesive portfolio, I think at this moment, at this point of my watercolor journey, I'm letting that go. And I'll just paint what I wanted to. If I wanted to paint a bunny because my daughter really loves bunnies and cats, then I'll paint it. Even if I've just posted a stylized portrait like this. If I wanted to paint a night scene, landscape painting, I'll just paint it. I won't worry about the aesthetics of my Instagram feed, and I am letting go. So that is also one of the reasons why I suddenly shifted from conducting free workshops of landscapes and florals and focused on portraits again. So if you're someone who's also limited by that, I encourage you to let that go and just really focus on painting that thing that you love to paint. I hope that encourages you. Okay, at this point, I am deciding on the color of the eye, and I'll go for a vampire look and paint her eyes red, since her aura gives me that vibe that she has some supernatural abilities. I'm not sure, but that's the vibe that I'm getting from her. Again, this isn't a planned painting, so I'm just going with the flow. I'm just letting go of all the mistakes that I am seeing right now, because I am seeing so many right now. And I wanted to share this with you to encourage you to push through to the end. Finished, not perfect. That's one of the mottos that I go by right now. Even if your painting goes through an ugly phase, I want you to finish that painting and see if it will turn out into a more beautiful art than you've expected or into a complete mess. Either way, you will still learn something new. I've also, again, sorry for the hair, but I've also contemplated whether I'll share this with you through a premiere and a tutorial, but honestly, it was a last minute decision. I have almost deleted this footage because I think she looks awkward. But then I thought, maybe some will love to see how I painted this and wanted to paint along and learn how to create a stylized portrait from a photo, from a reference photo. So I went ahead and took the courage to do a voiceover and launch this as a premiere. Because others might really appreciate your art even if you think it is not meeting your standards. I'm retouching her facial features as I see fit. And later, I have also decided that the palette that I've decided on, that I've chose, is not balanced in a way that it's too warm. So I grabbed some violets and painted some more flowers just to balance it out. Why violet? Because her hair is yellow, and looking at the color wheel, violet lies opposite on the color wheel with yellow. So I decided to go for that look. And then later also, I will retouch the eye using pure white paint for the highlight. So with that, with all the realizations I have had with this painting, when you're sharing your project, instead of emphasizing what you think you did wrong, I want you to tell a story or share a story on what you've overcome with this painting. Did you overcome the fear of painting portraits and using a loose style, especially for the flowers and the background? Did you overcome the fear of judgment from social media? Or were you able to paint thin lines now instead of thick ones? Or it could be something as simple as you were able to finish a painting again after such a long time of taking a break from your artwork because life happened. So whatever your story is behind this painting, behind this paint along session, I want to hear that as you share your project and as I leave a feedback on your artwork. I really encourage you to share your project since at this moment that I'm recording the video and the voiceover, it feels like this is a monologue. I'm talking to the microphone in front of me, I'm talking to the camera, but once you share your project, you share your story and your experiences via the link below, it feels like a completed communication. You know, that I'm not alone here. I'm not painting alone. Someone somewhere has painted along with me and shares the same challenges with art, with life, with time management, whatsoever. And it brings joy to me and motivates me also to keep on teaching and sharing what I learned, what I know with watercolors. So it's a two-way communication. If I've inspired you, then you also inspire me when you share your projects. Okay, enough of that. Now I am retouching the hair since I think that is pale and added another layer of yellow ochre. I've also switched to another brush. Hang on, what brush is this? The same Chinese brush. From the small brush, big brush again. I've also added a bit of light red since that's too yellow for me. Oh, another thing that I've overcome on this painting is I used to hate using yellows on my paintings, but this time I managed to use it, and still find it beautiful despite all the mistakes that I am seeing right now. I won't mention the mistakes because I'm encouraging you to do the same. Don't focus on the mistakes, but focus on the things that you managed to overcome with this painting. Okay, we're nearly done here. So I'm adding some more petals to balance out the composition, since I've mentioned earlier that my painting is looks sort of heavy on the left side. So I'm balancing it out with a branch extended to the right side. And now it's not visible in the camera, but I think, yeah, I've mixed lavender and carbazole violet and starting to add violets here and there to balance the color of this painting. I'm even dropping some on her hair because why not? Once this is done, the final step would be the eyes. So just adding a dark and a light. I'm really looking forward to your painting. So again, I'll say this again and again and again. Please use the link below and share your beautiful artwork and inspire others and me. And I'm running out of ideas on what flower girl to paint. So if you have suggestions, please use the comment box below. I hope you had fun watching or painting along, or watching now and painting later. And I hope you did also overcome some of your fears and doubts when painting this Bougainvillea Girl. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting me and my artwork and this small channel. And I'll see you again next week. Let's paint a forget-me-not girl. I'll let the brush do the talking at this point. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much. Don't forget to sign your work. Last touch and we're done. Bye.